This is All India Radio. In Spotlight, now we bring you a special program on voting in the first phase of Assembly elections.
The first phase of Assam and West Bengal Assembly elections was conducted successfully across 21,825 polling stations spread across 77 Assembly constituencies today. The average voter turnout was registered at 72.30% in Assam, while it was 79.79% in West Bengal till 6:50 p.m. There is no report of any untoward incident so far in both the states. People were seen standing in long queues at the polling stations right from the beginning. All the necessary facilities and security arrangements have been made to ensure free and fair polling during this phase. The voter verifiable paper audit trial (VVPAT) is being used along with the electronic voting machine (EVM) at every polling station with a view to enhance the transparency and credibility of the election process. The Commission has laid great emphasis on ensuring transparent and vigilant mechanism for inducement and intimidation-free elections. The first phase of elections were conducted for 30 Assembly constituencies in West Bengal. Nearly 74 lakh electorates across 10,288 polling stations are registered to exercise their franchise in this phase. Voting was held in 47 Assembly constituencies of Assam with a total of 81 lakh electorates registered across 11,537 polling stations. The number of polling stations has increased in view of the fact that the number of voters per polling station has been reduced from 1,500 to 1,000, keeping social distancing norms in view. As a major push in conducting free and fair elections, live monitoring and webcasting mechanism for more than 50% of polling stations, including critical and vulnerable polling booths, was put up in place to ensure safe and secure atmosphere in polling areas. Commission, CEOs, DEOs, observers could watch live streaming and keep a close watch on these polling booths in Assam and West Bengal. Webcasting arrangements were put in place for 5,392 polling stations in West Bengal and 5,039 polling stations in Assam. As an initiative towards inclusive and accessible elections, the option of postal ballot facility has been extended to PWDs, senior citizens above the age of 80 years, COVID-19 suspect or affected persons, and persons employed in essential services. The observers were specifically asked to oversee arrangements for facilitation of these voters. For hand-holding and for guidance of the poll-going states, the Commission also directed special observers to have additional role in supervising deployment of forces and their randomization for poll duties. All the polling stations were directed to follow COVID-19 safety protocols. Accordingly, it was ensured that the polling stations were sanitized one day prior to poll and facility of thermal scanning, hand sanitizers, face masks were also made available at the polling stations. Proper arrangements for social distancing were put in place. Nodal health officers have been designated for state, district and assembly constituencies to oversee COVID-19 related arrangements and preventive measures during the entire electoral process. The voting of first phase Assam Legislative Assembly election 2021 concluded this evening without major incidents. The voting was held in 11,537 polling stations in 47 constituencies across 12 districts of the state. The voting commenced from 7 in this morning and voter turnout in this phase is highly appreciated. Altogether, 264 candidates, including 23 women candidates and 78 independent candidates, are in the fray in election. Among them is State Chief Minister Sarbananda Sonowal, Speaker of Assam Legislative Assembly Hitendranath Goswami, Opposition Leader Debrata Saikia, Senior Leader of Congress Ripun Bora and Rakibul Hussain. AGP President Atul Bora and President of newly formed Assam Jatiya Parishad Lurin Jyoti Gogoi are also trying luck in the polls. Now let's listen to our Assam correspondent JJ Thokchom for more updates on polling.
In spite of the COVID-19 pandemic, the people of Assam embraced the democratic exercise held today in the state, and high turnout of voters has seen to exercise their franchise. Although there are reports of EVM glitches in some stations, the poll have been conducted peacefully without occurring unwanted incidents. The final voting percentage is yet to be ascertained. However, the last reported poll percentage was around 72%. From the early morning, the voters were seen in long lines, and instruction given by the authority on COVID-19 preventive protocols were followed. It may be mentioned that the voting by person with disabilities, COVID-infected person, and those above 80 age are allowed to cast votes through postal ballots, and it begins from last Wednesday. However, numbers of persons with disability are also seen coming out for voting today, which indicate the interest among the voters while exercising their rights. The polling officials are now reaching at district headquarters along with electronic voting machines, where this machine will be kept under tight security arrangements. The fate of the contesting candidates of first phase election will only be known on 2nd of May when the counting will be done. The second phase election of Assam will be held on 1st April in 39 assembly constituencies, and the political scenes have shifted to those assembly constituencies now. JJ Thokchom for AIR News, Dibrugarh.
The Chief Electoral Officer of Assam, Nitin Khare, said,
polling for the first phase of elections for Assam Legislative Assembly 2021 has been conducted today in a peaceful manner. Voters have come out in large numbers and have exercised their right to vote. We have been able to conduct this first phase of polls in a peaceful manner. We are confident that we will be able to conduct the second and third phase of the polls also in the same way, in free, fair, safe and peaceful manner, with cooperation from all the stakeholders and all the voters.
In West Bengal, over 74 lakh voters will decide the fate of 191 candidates, including 21 women in this phase. Out of 30 seats, BJP is contesting 29 and alliance partner AJSU is fighting from the Bagmundi seat in Purulia district, while TMC is contesting in 29 seats and supporting an independent candidate in Jaipur constituency after the nomination of the party candidate was rejected. Congress, left parties and their alliance partner, Indian Secular Front, are fighting under the banner of Sanyukt Morcha. Now let's listen to our Kolkata correspondent Madhuparna on the latest update on polling.
Barring a few stray incidents, polling was by and large peaceful in all 30 constituencies spread over 5 districts: Purulia, Bankura, Jhargram, East and West Medinipur. While polling was over for Purulia and Jhargram today, the remaining seats of the 3 districts will be held in the second phase. Elaborate security arrangements had been made to ensure free, fair and peaceful polling and to keep the entire polling process free from violence. A total of 730 companies of central forces had been deployed in this phase. Chief Electoral Officer of West Bengal, Ariz Aftab, has said that 10 persons had been arrested in 3 separate incidents today. 7 persons were arrested from Shalboni, where the CPIM candidate was allegedly attacked. Withstanding the scorching heat of summer of nearly 40 degrees Celsius, large numbers of voters were seen standing in queues, maintaining safe distance since this morning. COVID guidelines were strictly followed and voters were allowed to enter the booths only after thermal screening by the ASHA workers. Gloves for one hand were given to them for casting their votes. It can be said that the electors of Jangal Mahal in the southwestern fringes of the state exercised their democratic rights in a festive mood today. Madhuparna Chaudhary for AIR News, Kolkata.
Tamil Nadu is gearing up for hosting visits of VVIPs for electioneering senior BJP leaders. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and many union ministers are scheduled for next week. BJP leader JP Nadda, Union Minister Smriti Irani are already campaigning in the state. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman was in Puducherry yesterday. Congress leaders Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka and other senior Congress leaders like O. Minchendi are also visiting the state for electioneering. A whole presentation of alliance partners are expected during the visits. Top officials are also holding security-level meetings in the city. More from our Tamil Nadu correspondent, Joy.
In Tamil Nadu, electioneering is at a high pitch as national and regional party leaders are heading to various constituencies to woo the voters. The 16th Assembly election is unique as this is the first time that the regional parties are into the fray without their legendary leaders like DMK Patriarch Karunanidhi and AIADMK Supremo Jayalalitha. Political experts say that this will be a significant election as there is a multi-cornered contest in most of the assembly constituencies. The voting percentage secured by AIADMK alone in 2016 elections was nearly 41%, which can differ in this election. Now that BJP is an ally of the AIADMK, the party's voting percentage is bound to improve. BJP in 2016 election contested single-handedly in 188 constituencies and had gained 2.84%. DMK, on the other hand, had secured approximately 32% in 2016 elections, and now it has allied with parties who were in the third front in the last assembly elections. The multi-cornered contest in the present election is because of the absence of the significant leaders and the emergence of smaller fronts like MNMK led by actor Kamal Haasan, who has Samathuva Makkal Katchi led by actor Sarath Kumar in his fold. TTV Dinakaran, nephew of Sasikala, after being expelled by the party post Jayalalitha's death, launched a party called Amma Makkal Munetra Kazhagam, claiming to have the true followers of Amma. He won the by-election by contesting at RK Nagar, which was vacant after Jayalalitha's death. Now the party has formed a front in the alliance AIMIM led by OIC and also the Socialist Democratic Party of India. The front also has an alliance with actor Vijaykanth's DMDK, which had secured 2.41% in the last assembly election. Joy, AIR News, Chennai.
In Kerala, as the countdown for the upcoming assembly polls has begun, the election campaigning is in full swing, with the national leaders of major fronts actively campaigning. More from Mayusha, our Kerala correspondent.
BJP National President JP Nadda today campaigned for NDA candidates in Thrissur, Kannur, Ernakulam and Idukki districts. As part of the NDA campaign, Union Minister Rajnath Singh will reach Thiruvananthapuram tonight. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to visit Palakkad on 30th of this month, where the NDA's prominent candidate E. Sridharan is contesting. In LDF, when CPM General Secretary Sitaram Yechury and Politburo member Prakash Karat is actively campaigning, in UDF, Rahul Gandhi is presently in Kerala and Priyanka Gandhi will visit the state on 30th and 31st of this month. Meanwhile, the postal voting for those in essential services will begin tomorrow. The polling will happen at special polling booths set up at respective constituencies till 30th of this month, abiding to strict COVID protocols. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
For more on elections in Puducherry, let's listen to our correspondent Chidambra Nathan.
The election to the Puducherry Assembly is now keenly being observed by the entire nation. Political observers are puzzled to guess who will win the election this time. Whether this small union territory, hitherto a bastion of Congress party, would be reached by BJP or would the DMK-led Congress alliance would win the election. It would be revealed only on May 2nd. Just before the announcement of the poll, the ruling Congress government was ousted by the BJP and immediately the Congress party witnessed mass exodus. Almost all prominent leaders shifted their loyalty to BJP, giving a jolt to the Congress party. Jittered Congress party had to accede to DMK's seat demands to save its face. With BJP ruling in the centre, Congress government in Puducherry could not execute any populist schemes as the Lieutenant Governor stalled every move. Congress government led by Mr. V. Narayanasamy had to fight it till it was toppled. With hardly any achievement of the government and earning the wrath of the common man, the Congress and its DMK allies are forced to face the election now without any achievement to show. Even though BJP-led alliance seems to be strong, the main political party in the alliance, NR Congress President Mr. N. Rangasamy, avoiding to forge alliance with BJP as its leaders announced that BJP would form the government in Puducherry. In the event of BJP, NR Congress alliance winning the election, it is not clear that who will be the Chief Minister of Puducherry. However, the election campaign is going on full swing, with both the major party alliances are leaving no stones unturned. The fate of these alliances would be revealed on May 2nd. Chidambaranathan, AR News, Puducherry.
You were listening to a special program on voting in the first phase of assembly elections. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our website newsonair.com. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.